Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Health Revival. I'm so glad you're here today, sitting down with me like we're old friends sharing a cup of coffee on a quiet afternoon. This channel is a special place where we talk about life, health, and the beauty of growing older with grace and understanding. At the Health Revival, we dive into stories and insights that warm the heart, spark reflection, and inspire us to live each day with a little more love and purpose. Especially for those of us who've seen 60 or more springs come and go. Whether you're someone who cherishes a good story, wants to feel connected, or is looking for ways to embrace the season of life, you've found the right spot. So settle in, maybe grab a cozy blanket, and let's talk about something deeply meaningful today. The signs that someone dear to us, maybe a parent, a spouse, or even ourselves, might be in their final years, and why we shouldn't miss the quiet warnings life whispers to us. Have you ever known someone who seemed perfectly fine one day, laughing at a family dinner or tending to their garden, only to slip away just weeks or even days later? It catches us off guard, doesn't it? We wonder how it happened so fast. But what if I told you that, often, there are gentle signs, little changes we might overlook, that tell us someone's time with us is growing short? These aren't loud alarms, but soft signals, like the fading light of a sunset. Recognizing them doesn't mean we can stop time, but it does mean we can fill those moments with love, presence, and memories that linger long after. Today, I want to share 5 of these signs with you, woven into stories that feel like they could happen in any of our lives. And as we go, I'll ask you to think about your own experiences, because I believe we all have stories that connect us in this beautiful, bittersweet journey of life. Let's start with something so simple we might not even notice it at first. A change in how someone eats. Picture your mother, who always loved her Sunday pot roast, the kind that filled the house with warmth and drew everyone to the table. She'd take seconds, maybe even thirds, and her smile would light up the room. But lately, you've noticed she barely touches her plate. The fork moves slowly, picking at a few bites before she sets it down. Her favorite pie, the one she used to sneak a slice of before dinner, sits untouched. At first, you might think she's just not hungry, or maybe her tastes have changed. After all, as we age, don't we all get a little pickier? But when someone over 60 starts eating less, not just a meal here or there, but day after day, barely sipping water or nibbling on a cracker, it's more than a passing phase. I think of a man named Tom, a neighbor I once knew in a small town in Ohio. Tom was in his late 70s, sturdy as an oak, with a laugh that echoed across the street. Every evening, he'd sit on his porch with a bowl of stew, savoring each bite while waving at passers-by. But over a few months, his daughter noticed he wasn't eating much. She'd bring over his favorite lasagna, but he'd only take a bite or two, saying, "Oh, it's good, but I'm just not hungry." She thought maybe he was tired of her cooking, so she tried new recipes, even asked his friends for ideas. But Tom kept losing weight, his cheeks hollowing out, his energy fading. By the time they realized something was wrong, he was so weak that a cold turned into pneumonia, and he slipped away quietly in his sleep. Looking back, his daughter said the signs were there. The way he stopped caring about food, how he'd sit with a glass of water for hours without drinking. It wasn't just age, it was his body slowing down, preparing to rest. When we see someone eating less, it's tempting to push them. Maybe even nag a little. "Come on, Mom, you've got to eat something." But sometimes, their body is telling them it doesn't need as much anymore. It's not about giving up. It's about a natural shift. What we can do is make those moments count. Offer small, soft meals they love. Maybe a warm bowl of soup or a bite of that pie they used to sneak. Sit with them, talk about the old days, and let them feel your presence. Have you seen this in someone you love? Maybe a parent who doesn't eat like they used to? I'd love to hear your story. Share it with us later, because we learn so much from each other. This brings me to another sign, one that tugs at the heart. When someone starts pulling back from the world around them. You know how it feels to sit with a friend, swapping stories about life, kids, or even the weather. For many of us, those conversations are the heartbeat of our days. But imagine your husband, who always had a joke ready or a tale about his fishing trips, suddenly growing quiet. He's there, sitting in his favorite chair, but he doesn't chime in anymore. You ask how his day was, and he just nods. Maybe mumbles a word or two. The TV hums in the background, but he's staring past it, lost somewhere you can't follow. I remember a woman named Clara, who lived down the street from my aunt in Florida. Clara was in her early 80s, sharp as a tack, always chatting about her book club or her grandkids' latest adventures. But one summer she changed. She stopped calling her friends, skipped her club meetings, and when my aunt visited, Clara would just smile faintly and say, "I'm fine, just tired." Her answers got shorter, her eyes distant. At first, her family thought she was upset about something. Maybe a disagreement or a bad day. But it wasn't that. Clara was retreating, not because she didn't love her family, but because her energy was fading, like a candle burning low. A few months later, she passed away peacefully in her sleep, and her daughter said, "I wish I'd known she was saying goodbye in her own way." When someone starts talking less or pulling away, it's easy to assume they're moody or need space. But for someone in their later years, it might mean their body and spirit are conserving strength, preparing for a quieter chapter. Instead of pushing them to talk, try sitting close, holding their hand, or sharing a memory that makes them smile. Sometimes, silence shared with love speaks louder than words. Have you noticed someone you care about growing quieter? What did you do to stay connected? Let's keep that thread going as we move to the next sign. Now let's talk about sleep. Not the restful kind after a long day, but a deeper, heavier kind that seems to take over. Think about your grandfather, who used to be up at dawn, brewing coffee and reading the paper before anyone else stirred. These days, though, he's sleeping more than ever. Breakfast comes and goes, but he's still in bed, eyes closed, breathing slow. Even when he wakes, he's groggy, maybe confused, and soon he's napping again. You might think, well, he's older. He needs more rest. And that's partly true. Our bodies slow down as we age. But when sleep becomes a constant companion, it's worth paying attention. There's a story I heard about a man named George, a retired teacher in his late 60s from Texas. George loved his routine: morning walks, crossword puzzles, and evening chats with his wife, Ellen. But over a few weeks, Ellen noticed he was sleeping longer, sometimes 12 or 14 hours a day. He'd eat a little, then head back to bed, saying, "I just need a quick nap." She worried it was depression or a health issue, so she took him to the doctor. Tests showed nothing major, just age, they said. But George's sleep grew deeper, harder to rouse him from. One morning, he woke up brighter than he'd been in weeks, smiling, talking about their first date. Ellen was overjoyed, thinking he was back to himself. But that night, he slipped away in his sleep, peaceful as could be. That burst of clarity, she later learned, is sometimes called a rally, a final gift of wakefulness before the end. Sleep like this isn't just tiredness. It's the body's way of easing into rest, saving energy for the journey ahead. If you see this in someone you love, don't be afraid. Spend time with them when they're awake, even if it's just reading a book nearby or playing soft music. Those moments matter more than you know. Have you seen someone sleep more than usual, maybe in a way that felt different? Hold that thought as we weave into the next sign, because it's all part of the same tapestry. Sometimes the signs are in the mind, not just the body. Imagine your aunt, who always remembered every birthday and anniversary, suddenly forgetting small things. She might ask what day it is, even though you just told her, or call you by your cousin's name. At first, it's easy to brush off. Aging minds wander, right? But then it grows stranger. She talks about her childhood home as if she's still there, or mentions seeing her long-gone sister at the market. These aren't just senior moments. They're signs that time and space are blurring, like a photograph fading at the edges. I think of a woman named Margaret, who I met at a community center in California. She was in her mid-70s, with a laugh that could fill a room. But her son noticed she was getting confused, not just forgetting names, but mixing up days and places. One evening she asked him, "Why are we in this house? Where's my old bedroom?" He thought it was dementia, and maybe it was, but it was more than that. Margaret started talking about her parents as if they were waiting for her, smiling as she described their old farm. Her son tried correcting her, but it only upset her. A few weeks later, she passed away quietly, and he realized those memories weren't mistakes. They were her heart preparing to go home. When someone's mind starts drifting, it's tempting to pull them back, to insist they remember the present. But sometimes, they're already somewhere else, somewhere that feels safe and familiar. Be patient. Listen to their stories, even if they don't make sense. Ask about their past. It might be where they feel most alive. Have you seen this kind of confusion in someone close to you? It's hard, isn't it? Let's carry that feeling into the final sign, because it's one that often catches us by surprise. The last sign is perhaps the most poignant. A sudden change in behavior, like a quiet goodbye no one sees coming. Picture your father, who's always been practical, maybe even a bit stern. One day, he starts giving away his things. His favorite watch, his old books, even money he's saved for years. Or maybe he calls you out of the blue, just to talk about a memory from when you were little. He's not sick, not that you know of, but there's a softness in his voice, a need to tie up loose ends. There was a man named Henry, a widower in his 80s from Michigan. Henry was private, not one for big gestures. But one fall, he started acting differently. He gave his grandson his fishing rod, saying, "You'll use it more than me." He called his daughter, who lived across the country, and spent an hour reminiscing about her childhood. He even tidied his attic, sorting letters and photos with care. His family thought he was just feeling nostalgic. Then one morning he sat down for breakfast, smiled at his daughter, and said, "I've had a good life." That afternoon, he passed away in his armchair, a book open on his lap. Those small acts, they realized, were his way of saying farewell. These changes, giving things away, sudden bursts of clarity, or heartfelt conversations, are often the heart's final gift. They're not always dramatic, but they carry weight. If you notice them, pause. Listen. Say the things you've been meaning to say. Have you ever seen someone act this way, like they knew something you didn't? It's a reminder that life's most precious moments often come unannounced. As we weave these signs together, what do they tell us? They're not just warnings, they're invitations to love more deeply, to be present, to make every moment count. I think about my own grandmother, who passed a few years ago. She started sleeping more, eating less, and one day, she gave me her old recipe book, saying, "You keep these alive." I didn't realize it then, but she was preparing me, preparing herself. Looking back, I wish I'd spent one more afternoon just sitting with her, listening to her laugh. But I'm grateful for the time we had, and it's why I'm sharing this with you now. So, what can we do when we see these signs? First, don't panic. They're part of life's natural rhythm, like leaves falling in autumn. If someone's eating less, offer comfort, not pressure. Maybe a warm drink or a small treat they love. If they're quieter, sit with them, share a memory, or just hold their hand. If they're sleeping more, cherish their waking moments, even if they're brief. If their mind wanders, join them in their world. Ask about the past, let them feel heard. And if they start saying goodbye in their own way, lean in. Tell them you love them. Say the things that matter. But this isn't just about those we care for. It's about us, too. If you're in your 60s or beyond, these signs might resonate with your own journey. Maybe you're feeling tired, or food doesn't taste the same, or you're thinking more about the past. That's okay. It's not a surrender. It's a chance to live fully in the time you have. Find joy in small things, a walk in the park, a call to an old friend, a song that makes you smile. Share your stories with your family. They'll treasure them. And know that you're not alone. Here at the Health Revival, we're walking this path together, celebrating every step. Let me tell you one last story, because I think it ties everything together. There was a woman named Ruth, who lived in a little house by a lake in Minnesota. She was 72, with silver hair and a knack for baking cookies that brought every neighbor to her door. As the years passed, Ruth slowed down. She ate less, slept more, and started giving her recipe cards to her grandchildren, saying, "You make these for your kids someday." Her daughter, Lisa, noticed these changes but didn't know what they meant. One evening, Ruth asked Lisa to sit by the lake with her. They watched the sunset, and Ruth said, "I've loved every minute of this life, especially with you." Lisa felt a lump in her throat but didn't press her mother to explain. A week later, Ruth passed away, her hand resting on a photo of that lake. Lisa keeps that moment by the water in her heart, a gift her mother gave her without words. Ruth's story reminds us that life doesn't always shout its endings. It whispers them. And if we listen, we can turn those whispers into moments of connection, love, and peace. So, my friends, I ask you this. Who in your life needs you right now? Maybe it's a parent, a friend, or even yourself. Don't wait for tomorrow to show up, to say I love you, to share a laugh. Do it today, because today is the only day we truly have. Here at the Health Revival, we're all about bringing light to these moments, helping you navigate the joys and challenges of growing older with wisdom and heart. If this story touched you, I hope you'll join our little community. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and let's keep these conversations going. Share your own stories in the comments. I read every one, and they mean the world to us. Until next time, have a beautiful day, and may God bless you always.